The Springboks have defeated Italy 42-24. But if we're honest with ourselves, it was a sloppy performance by the South Africans. And in this episode, you are going to get a front row seat to my top 5 takeaways from that victory at Loftus. Number 1, I want to talk about the scrum. I thought that in terms of things that South Africa did well, in terms of the things that we did that were positive, our scrum was the best thing about our entire performance. There was hardly a scrum in this match at all where the Italians even found parity, never mind actually beating us at scrum time. Overall, we were utterly dominant at scrum time and we took them to school, and we should get full marks for the performance at scrum time, and that is a big thumbs up to coach Damian. You might say we really did take them to the harbour in this match. Number 2. Damian Allende's tactical kicking. This is something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. But we watched Damian last week against the Barbarians in Cape Town, and again this week at Loftus. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of things that Damian has done over the years that are very, very good because, well, he is a very, very good player. His ability to carry the ball into tackles or into contact, his ability to almost play the role of a wrecking ball, number 12, that we've seen over and over. But he's got good pace, he tackles well, he does a lot of things really, really well, and yes, he does actually pass the ball. But something I've noticed just in the last 2 test matches is he's kicking. Now, we've seen him put through a few grubbers, and that happened again at Loftus. We saw it the previous week. And then we also saw another kick, which wasn't quite an up and under, but there was certainly something there. And when you think of what Tony Brown is doing with the team, Damian has clearly found himself in a position where tactical kicking is now part and parcel of what he does. He also happened to have played a few games at fly half in Japan for his team there in the Japanese League One. So little bit of skills, not really replenishment, but perhaps the correct word that we're looking for is enrichment. But very nice to see from Damian. It adds a string to his bow, but it also adds to what we can do in attack. So you're not just relying on Handré Pollard or Mani Lebok or Sasha Finder Ngomezulu, whoever it is that finds themselves in the 10 jersey, or even like a Willie Leroux or Damian Willemse further back. Now we're seeing our 12 able to distribute the ball in these sorts of manners. And we are seeing more grubber kicks as well. It's something that we didn't actually see a lot of for a long time. It's certainly become fashionable again, and it's one way to break through a defensive line, especially a very stubborn one. Put the grubber through, your wing chases, you turn the defense, and all of a sudden you have the advantage, and we've seen ourselves score tries in that fashion. Now, number 3 is a bit of a funny one because at halftime I wrote this one down, and I feel like it might actually now be me contradicting myself at full time because it really was that kind of a match. But bear with me and you tell me if you know what I'm talking about, if you agree with me or if you think I'm talking nonsense. Let me know in the comment section down below. But I just compared our first half to a previous series against the Italians. That was back in 2010 when Peter de Villiers was still our coach. And we took on Italy in East London and in Witbank of all places. And the reason that we played there is because the regular venues were actually unavailable because FIFA World Cup 2010 matches were being played at those grounds at the time. And FIFA has a rule where you can't really have stadiums shared with other sports or other events during its World Cup. So with that being said, I thought that in the first half we were good. I didn't think we were brilliant, but we were good and we were dominant and we were doing everything nicely. And I thought to myself, you know what, how nice is this? Dr. Rassie Erasmus has obviously planned meticulously for the Azzurri, but what we're seeing here is our team playing well on the front foot. Yes, the Italians were defending well and they were playing a lot of, I suppose, spoilers at the breakdown, slowing us down and that sort of thing. But overall, it didn't appear as if we were labouring our way to victory. And I think that's the correct way to term it, because in those 2010 test matches against the Azzurri in East London and Witbank, we really, really laboured our way to victory. It was boring as anything. It was dreadful to watch. It was an eyesore, both of those test matches. And it was a shame because we had some incredible players at the time. Remember that team was just coming off the previous year's Tri-Nations victory and also the British and Irish Lions series the year before that. But again, obviously the Italians, even in those days, were playing a negative brand of rugby, and we weren't quite able to find our way around that, and it was so boring. And I thought, at least in the first half, it was quite refreshing to see us doing so well. We're playing against a team that we're expected to beat, and we're doing well, and we are beating them. Turns out in the second half it maybe went back the 2010 way, and it might have been a bit of a Witbank East London 2.0. But let me know what you think on that score. Number 4, the empty seats at Loftus. Now, I don't have the official Loftus capacity on hand right now, and if you know what it is, you can put it in the comment section down below for me, but it's roughly around 50,000, isn't it? Loftus, Kings Park, Newlands, or at least the old Newlands, all of those stadiums more or less in the 50,000 ballpark figure. Might be 47, 49, 51, you know, those sorts of numbers, but let's just call it 50,000 for argument's sake. And I noticed that there were quite a few empty seats. And I wondered, because that was at the beginning of the match, if perhaps it was going to be a case of those seats being filled later on. Maybe people were getting themselves a snack or a beer, or, you know, maybe they were still trying to get to their seat, that sort of thing. But I overheard on the loudspeaker that the Loftus announcer said that the official attendance for the match was a fraction over 42,000. Now, if we assume 50,000 as the official capacity, and as I say, it's just the number for argument's sake, but it's more or less there. If we assume that, that's 8,000 seats that are empty. 8,000 out of 50,000. I mean, we're looking at about a sixth. That's about 15-16% of the seats that were empty for a Springbok test match. And that calls into question the prices of the tickets, in my opinion. SARU are treading a very, very fine line at the moment because they've got this wonderful brand, and the Springboks are currently the most valuable sports brand in South Africa. That was not always the case. For decades, Kaizer Chiefs was actually the most valuable brand in South African sport. But now it's the Springboks, which makes sense. We've won the Rugby World Cup twice in a row. We've now won the Rugby Championship. We hold the Mandela Plate, the Freedom Cup, the Qatar Airways Cup. We are a big, big deal in our own country, but also internationally. And so you would think there's a demand to see the team play live. But if ticket prices are prohibitively expensive, then you're not going to see fans come to the stadium. It was very interesting. I saw earlier in the day on X, there was an article quoting Riaan Oberholzer, the CEO of SARU, saying that in comparison to international markets, Springbok rugby test match tickets are the cheapest around. Now, yes, Riaan Oberholzer, that may very well be accurate when you're comparing pound for pound. But you need to understand something here. The average Brit is about 8 times better off economically than the average South African. A British teenager can go and work in a binding factory, save their money for 6 months, and go on holiday to Thailand. A South African teenager, or adult for that matter, will never be able to do that in the same position. You are not comparing apples with apples. And the problem is that it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because yes, SARU do have the responsibility to grow the game and to maximize the Springboks' commercial potential. So that's going to be merchandise, ticket prices, TV rights, all those sorts of things. And yes, they are quite right to try and maximize it. But there's a very fine line between maximizing the commercial aspect and pricing fans out of attending test matches. You don't want empty seats at matches featuring the Rugby World Champions. And number 5, I thought I have to say something very positive about Italy, and I thought that they defended exceptionally well. There are 9 players that would regularly be in the Azzurri side that are absent from this tour to South Africa, Nacho Brex probably being the most high profile of those names. He's not there. Tommaso Menoncello is, although Menoncello has to actually get the ball in order to be able to influence the game, and the Italian pack needs to be going forward in order to help Menoncello to get the ball and influence the game. Having said that, I thought that they defended exceptionally well and that they were actually brilliant at the breakdown. Some people might say that they played negative rugby in that aspect, but the way I see it is, if you're Italy, why wouldn't you try to disrupt what the Springboks are doing or trying to do at the breakdown? Why would you not try to slow them down? I mean, even Ireland tried to slow us down. Even the All Blacks try to slow us down. So why would Italy not try to do that? And in their defense, they did an exceptional job at that. And you know what, guys? Me and many others thought that the Springboks were going to put 50 points on this Italian side. And I've got a funny feeling that in the second test next week in Gqeberha, that may very well end up being the case. But in this test match at Loftus, the Italians were excellent in that regard, and they deserved their second half victory. What do you mean second half victory, Pete? Well, they won the second half. It was 28-3 at half-time. It was 42-24 at full-time. That means the Azzurri beat us 21-14 in the second half. And we are going to congratulate them here. Because as much as this channel is all about bigging up the Springboks, the fact of the matter is that when the opposition plays well and they do good things, I am more than happy to give them credit. And I'm giving that credit right now to Gonzalo Quesada's men. Well, listen, I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's something new that I'm trying to do. At the end of Springbok test matches, I want to do a quick video, shorter video than usual, where I give my top 5 takeaways from the match and try to record it as quickly as possible after full time and get it up on YouTube for you to enjoy. Let me know in the comment section if you've enjoyed this. And if you do like it, well then there's a lot more of that coming up. What I will do for you on Sunday is put out a video that gives a deeper dive and a full review with more analysis and more opinion on the Springboks win over Italy. So make sure that you don't miss out on that one. And if you've enjoyed this video, you know what you can do to help me? You can attack that super thanks button down there. That's the $sign inside of a heart. If you click on that, you'll be able to make a highlighted comment on my channel and also give me a small donation. It's whatever you want it to be. It can be 10 Rand, can be 10,000 Rand. And the reason I'm asking for that is because I would love to go to Australia in 2027 and cover the Rugby World Cup for you from down under with daily coverage. And it would also go a long way towards helping me to do this full time. And since you're still here, may I recommend that you watch this video over here where I reviewed our junior Springboks' brilliant victory over England. And if you've already seen that, how about this exclusive interview I did with former Springbok fullback Ricardo Loubser? Yep, he went through Kampstaldraad and he tells us all about it among other things. And I'll see you next time.